Long before our planet existed, the universe was already 9 billion years old. The space where you are sitting right now was nothing but a cold, pitch-black void. But it wasn't completely empty. It was filled with a massive drifting cloud of gas and stellar debris. This debris was the ancient wreckage of giant, primeval stars that had exploded millions of years prior. These dead stars acted like cosmic factories, leaving behind heavy elements like iron, silicon, carbon, and gold. For eons, this molecular cloud floated through the dark Milky Way galaxy, waiting for a spark. Then a nearby cosmic disturbance, perhaps the shock wave of a distant supernova, rippled through the cloud. Gravity went to work. It began pulling the drifting dust and gas closer and closer together. As the cloud collapsed under its own immense weight, it began to spin wildly, flattening into a massive, rotating disk. At the very center of this disk, matter became compressed so tightly and grew so incredibly hot that nuclear fusion ignited. In a flash of blinding light, a brand new star was born, our sun. The newborn sun swallowed up 99% of all the matter in the cloud. But a tiny fraction of rock and ice remained, swirling around the star in a chaotic ring. This ring was a cosmic demolition derby. Traveling at tens of thousands of miles per hour, tiny pebbles smashed into one another. Static electricity kept them bound together at first. But as these clumps grew into giant boulders, their own gravitational pull took over. They became planetary magnets, violently sweeping up everything in their orbits. This brutal, chaotic process is known as accretion. Millions of space rocks pulverized each other for over 100 million years, generating unimaginable kinetic energy and heat. Out of this apocalyptic wreckage, a fragile, glowing protoplanet began to emerge. Earth had officially taken its place in the solar system. $4.5 billion years ago, the newly formed Earth was an apocalyptic wasteland. This period is known as the Hadean An, named after Hades, the ancient Greek underworld. There were no oceans, no trees, and no breath of fresh air. The entire surface of the planet was a churning, glowing ocean of liquid rock. Temperatures surged past 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Radioactive elements trapped deep inside the core, mixed with the kinetic energy of endless asteroid strikes, kept the planet completely molten. Radioactive decay cooked the planet from the inside out, creating a hellish world where stone flowed like water. As the heavy molten iron sank deeper to form the Earth's core, lighter elements floated to the top, boiling off into space. This created Earth's very first atmosphere, but it was completely toxic to life. Huge volcanic vents ripped through the cooling crust, belching out massive clouds of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, toxic sulfur, and water vapor. The sky was not blue. It was a thick, suffocating blanketing of dark, reddish-black clouds. Crushing atmospheric pressure and constant volcanic. Lightning storms tore across the sky, blanketing a planet trapped in an endless cycle of volcanic eruptions. For millions of years, The surface of the Earth played violent game of tug-of-war with the cold vacuum of space. Slowly, the outer layer of magma began to cool and harden, forming a fragile, black crust of basalt rock. It was like thin ice covering a raging river of fire. Just beneath this dark, cracked surface, the molten mantle still boiled, causing the newly formed land masses to shatter, shift, and sink back into the fiery depths. Earth was desperately trying to solidify. Out of the darkness of the early solar system, a catastrophic threat emerged. A protoplanet named Theia, roughly the size of Mars, was on a direct collision course with Earth. Weaponized by gravity, Theia traveled at over 20,000 miles per hour. As the two planets drew closer, their gravitational forces began to pull at one another, tearing giant cracks into their planetary crusts. For the young, fragile Earth, an apocalyptic impact was entirely unavoidable. The impact was a cosmic cataclysm. Theia slammed into Earth at a glancing angle. A collision instantly liquefied both planets, unleashing an explosion of kinetic energy that shattered Earth's outer mantle. Millions of tons of vaporized rock, molten lava, and blinding white-hot dust were blasted outward into space. Earth's tilt was violently knocked sideways, permanently altering its axis. For a brief moment, Earth resembled a shattered ring of fire spinning wildly in the dark. But out of this utter destruction, a miracle of physics occurred. The giant ring of molten debris orbiting the planet didn't float away. Trapped by Earth's gravity, the fragments began to collide and merge. Within just a few thousand years, this ring of fiery debris compressed tightly together, cooling down to form a brand new celestial body. Our moon. Born from the ashes of a planetary murder, the moon now stood guard over a scarred, changing Earth, setting the stage for a worldwide transformation. Following the cataclysmic collision with Theia, Earth began to cool once more. Choking blanket of steam and volcanic gas. The impact had vaporized entire oceans, worth of water trapped deep inside the rocks, turning the atmosphere into a giant planetary pressure cooker. For millions of years, the scorched planet remained locked beneath a dark, impenetrable ceiling of dense white vapor, completely shielding the surface from the sun. Then the tipping point arrived. As the upper layers of the atmosphere cooled down to the exact temperature needed, the steam condensed. The skies opened up, unleashing a storm of biblical proportions. This wasn't a normal rainstorm. It was a planetary downpour that lasted for thousands, perhaps millions of years. Torrents of hot water fell from the heavens, violently carving deep canyons, washing away toxic minerals, and rushing into the massive lowlands of the cooling basalt crust. When the global storms finally cleared, Earth was completely unrecognizable. The boiling hellscape of lava was gone. In its place stood a vast, beautiful world of deep green-blue oceans, framed under a toxic but stabilizing atmosphere. The moon hung close in the sky, pulling massive, churning tides across the young seas. Earth had survived the crucible of fire and the fury of water. The canvas was finally painted, setting the stage for the greatest miracle of all, the arrival of life.